Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Big story this evening in the news. Measles outbreak in West Texas, specifically Lubbock. And they're saying the first death in the United States from measles has come in a decade. The last time it was 2015, and they've put RFK Jr. at the front of this since he's the new Secretary of Health, known as the anti-vaxxer, and all the mainstream media is pointing out that this little young girl who died from the measles was unvaccinated. Now, as I was trying to explain to that fraud of a man, Andrew Wilson, in Gematria, RFK Jr. equals 72, like Year of the Snake equals 72, like the Jesuit Order equals 72, like how he put out the video on 7/2 last year, July 2nd, 2024, RFK Jr. the Snake. And his hearing began to become Secretary of Health on the first day of Year of the Snake, January 29th, in Gematria. Year of the Snake equals 72. Lubbock, Texas equals 72. And again, RFK Jr., Jesuit educated. You look into the Jesuits, the Catholic Church, they have major influence over the medical world, and including this nation's government, which had its headquarters moved to the Jesuit stronghold of Washington, D.C. long ago. Of course, RFK Jr. had his anti-mandate rally back in the time of the scandemic on Georgetown's birthday, which went over everyone's head. Again, that's the first Jesuit university in the history of the nation, and the year it was established, 1789, was the same year we got that other George Washington, who was very favorable to the Catholic Church, unlike a lot of other founders, because people have forgotten that many of the people who came across the Atlantic to set up this nation were trying to escape the tyranny of the Catholic Church. But yes, this big 72 ritual. And then what's the other big thing? In that Andrew Wilson debate, when he ran off too drunk to continue, his groupies and the host, we did get into a few other things. And, I asked, what's his name? Flow State, who was one of the January 6th actors. I said, have you ever helped people win a bunch of money in the stock market by making a dead-on call for an exact date that a stock was going to blow up? And he answered honestly, no. And people in my community know the answer for me is yes. We explained why the Moderna stock was going to explode on May 7th, 2020, as it did on 5/7. Again, VACCINE equals 57, as does BILLGATES 57, Mr. Jab, from the land of the Space Needle, the world's biggest needle. Again, he had backed the Moderna jab, and the reason what caused the stock to explode on May 7th, meaning skyrocket, is it was the first approved by phase 2 testing. We made that prediction in March. It was around the time that Bill Gates endorsed the jab by that Jesuit-run company, and it's run by two Jesuits. Today's the 57th day of the year, so it's similar to May 7th. It's 57, where, again, VACCINE equals 57. And notice that's the focus here, that people aren't getting it. And now there's an outbreak in West Texas, and the anti-jabber Secretary of Health has to address the situation. But again, if you watched the hearings, he said he's just going to do whatever the CDC tells him to do, which is what everyone in that position does. So, again, the story goes, child in West Texas is first U.S. measles death in a decade. The first measles death in the growing outbreak in West Texas was a school-age child. Back in my parents' generation, back in the 50s is when they were born, nobody got shots for measles, and hardly anyone ever died from it. And also that generation never heard of SIDS. They could eat peanuts. No one had autism. No turbo cancers. So, again, for all the people out there like, oh my God, I can't believe these anti-jabbers. Maybe take a look at the current situation and ask yourself really what's worse. No, haven't you listened to the mainstream liars? They all said it couldn't be the jab. They just don't know what causes any of those things. It's not the 72 jabs. By the way, sorry, I forgot to mess up. Lubbock, again, let's just go over it one more time. Lubbock, Texas, 72. Robert F. Kennedy, 72. Jesuit Order, 72. Year of the Snake, 72. Again, look up his video from July 2nd, 72, titled RFK Jr., the Snake. Look at how his testimony or his hearing began on the day of the Year of the Snake. They asked him about what he thinks about the schedule, which now, again, from age 0 to 18, you get 72 shots. Unless you're one of these anti-jabbers putting the whole nation at risk of measles. You know what I mean? But yeah. Lubbock, Texas. The child was unvaccinated and had been hospitalized in Lubbock, Texas, said Lauren Adams. The number of confirmed measles cases reported in an outbreak in West Texas is now at 124. The Texas Department of Health Services said in an update Tuesday, an increase of 34 since late last week. Most of the cases are in children ages 5 to 17. As President Donald Trump's first cabinet meeting on Wednesday, that's today, the 57th day of the year, he deferred a question about the measles outbreak in Texas to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, who said, "We are following the measles epidemic every day." Kennedy said during the cabinet meeting that there had been 2 measles deaths, but Texas officials confirmed Wednesday afternoon there had been only 1 death. New Mexico officials said no measles deaths have been reported in the state. So yeah, again, I was just making this point about 72, right? And the relevance of Gematria and how you can really see how all of this is perfect ritual. And it continues on today by the same code that we've been talking about for years. Again, it is the value of the knowledge, and it is why the knowledge is valuable. And all the people who want to downplay it or disregard it, all of those people, what they have in common is they are the problem. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is not strength. This isn't George Orwell's 1984. This is reality, where knowledge is power. And again, the cabal does work by this code every day. Until next time, Truth Seeker.